Good morning. Oh fuck, microphone. Good morning. Welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. It is working, isn't it? Sorry about that. Running a bit late. I was we're admiring the new neighbours. Forget the background. It will be a temporary type background for the moment. I need to get on the studio. Everything's all over the place. Do we have? Yeah, everything's fine. Jeez, when you move house, huh? Anyway, Celtic, we've started a poll already, and the poll is, do Celtic need to change the goalkeeper? And I think it asks a lot more questions, because I noticed in one of the videos before I went, had a few days off, how do we find the X Factor? How do we find the X Factor back at Celtic? And we need it more than ever. We need the. And I've only seen highlights of the game. I did take 3 days off of going anywhere. And I'll tell you one thing. See, if you want to switch off from everything, it's hard to. It's hard to switch off from Celtic when you do this. Switch off from anything on the internet in this day and age, but switching off completely from all forms of media for 3 solid days, God, it's actually really good. But anyway, we move on, and it is all about Celtic play Motherwell this weekend at Celtic Park. Let's forget about the game on Thursday night. I know it's still raw in a lot of people's memories. And I'm only saying that because I never watched it all. And thankfully I never watched it, because the WhatsApp messages were enough when I was driving. But anyway, it is what it is. Do we need to change a goalkeeper? Kasper Schmeichel will make mistakes. He can still pull off some brilliant saves. Let's get the comments up this morning. Get the comments up here. Schmeichel will make mistakes, but he'll also pull off brilliant saves most other keepers can't do. I have been an advocate of Sinisalo since before the cup final, and I'm not going to change my mind. And everything that Sinisalo's done when he's been asked to do, and yes, he's maybe had a couple of lapses at moments, but I just think he brings more to the game than Kasper. And sometimes you need that little bit of air of confidence, and I think that the young keeper has that air of confidence about him. I mean, Schmeichel has experience, and you can talk about keepers having experience, but sometimes it's better with a younger player, because a younger player has no fear. A younger player does things, and this is the reason I think for a change of a goalkeeper. You in jail bars? No, it's just bars on the windows. That's the insight. Yeah, I'm now Nelson Mandela territory. Flying column is complete, but as you can expect, I'm looking at around about 20 boxes all stacked up. But anyway, Sinisalo deserves his chance. I think that he deserves his chance, because when it comes to younger players, you can have all the experience in the world, but experience sometimes slows you down. Experience sometimes makes you have a 1 or 2 second delay. And that 1 or 2 seconds in football, in modern day football, can be fucking troublesome. Maybe in the older days when, the ball didn't fly as fast as it does these days. Maybe days gone by, you maybe could have got away with 1 or 2 second delayed reaction. But in the modern game, you need a keeper that's instinctive. You need a keeper that's fast reacting, that doesn't overthink things. Brendan Rodgers said about Colby Donovan, he says when he thinks about the game too much, that's when he loses it. You don't want a player to think about it. Younger players don't think about it. They do it. They just do it. When you look at the distribution that Sinisalo comes out for the back, I mean, nobody needs to convince me, but Kasper's been amazing and continues to be outstanding keeper, but Sinisalo needs a start, says Ripped Tom. Nelson Mandela's house this time next year. It will be. It's just Spanish houses always have, but it's like the windows this side don't. That used to be an outside window, to be fair. And the Spanish just they've not taken the bars down. Used to be an external window. 100 agree, and Sinisalke, Kasper Schmeichel has made too many mistakes in big games now to be automatic first choice. And I thought that that's why Sinisalo was brought in, to put pressure on the keeper. There's no use bringing a keeper in of his standard if he's not allowed to put pressure on the keeper. Do you know, if it's a player, if it's any other side, if it's any other part of the pitch, he's dropped. If it's any outfield player that makes the continuing mistakes that Kasper has made, and it's not over 1 or 2 games, it's over a period now that we've seen these slight mistakes come in. If it's any other place, if it's a striker, look at the stick that Adam Ida got for missing goals. Look at the stick that Adam Ida got. Kasper Schmeichel seems to be, it's Brendan's mate, it's Brendan's boy. Morning Baz, I should be watching today from sunny Tunisia, but my flight got cancelled. Had to make my way back home. Supposed to fly out again today, weather permits. Oh, I believe there's a big storm heading over. Wonder if all the football will be on today. Talking about the football today, Celtic obviously in action tomorrow. Today in the SPFL, Dundee United take on Livingston. That'll be a good game actually. Kilmarnock take on St Mirren. That'll be a bore fest. I think St Mirren could edge that one. And then the big one this evening, and this is one that Celtic need to look at because it's Hearts versus Hibs. Hearts are obviously top of the table on 2 points better and 2 goals better than Celtic. If Celtic lose any ground this weekend, Brendan Rodgers will be under immense pressure. I don't care what you say. The pressure will start to build on Brendan Rodgers if Celtic drop any points this weekend. Celtic obviously play at home tomorrow. Other games tomorrow is Aberdeen versus Dundee, Celtic versus Motherwell, and then at the same time Falkirk entertain the Rangers. That'll be a big one for Falkirk as well, when you look at the league table, because they're obviously wanting to try and overtake Rangers if they could pull off something emphatic. Can they do that? They've conceded more goals than Rangers, and I've got to say, when it comes to goals scored, they've actually scored more goals than Rangers. You never know. You never know in football. But ultimately, Celtic need to get the points tomorrow, and we do entertain Motherwell. Motherwell will be thinking, we win at Celtic Park, and it closes the gaps between Celtic and it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable to even be thinking about at this stage of the season the fact that Celtic could drop points. But the reality is of the situation, we've not been scoring enough goals. We've not been scoring enough goals at all. I've been saying for a long time now, it's an old pals act with Rodgers and Schmeichel, McGregor, Forrest, etc. Are finished. I will always go back, Jim, I'll always say this about Callum McGregor. And it's looked through since Callum came into Celtic. He's always had better players around him in midfield. I think that this is the fault. This is completely the fault of Celtic, and it's completely the fault of Brendan Rodgers. It's now the tide is turning on Brendan Rodgers. Going through the first season, last season, you could see the tide was turning on Brendan Rodgers, and the fact that he wasn't changing stuff. Look at the way that we finished the season last year, very, very poor. Brendan Rodgers has known that we need to score more goals. This is the least goals that we have scored in something like 54 years or something, at the beginning of a season. Brendan Rodgers won't want that sitting on his wall as a plaque. Worst start to a year ever for a Celtic manager in goal scoring, so we need to score goals this weekend, but where will they come from? Where will they come from? And will Brendan Rodgers change the team that dramatically this weekend? When you look at Celtic's fixtures, it's not, we do have international break this week, but you like to go into the international break with a little bit of a winner, don't you? So that you're on a high. And heaven forbid that Hearts beat Hibs tomorrow night, and they go into the international break on a high, because that will only keep them. Mike Powers has been a member of the One Celtic Fans View for Both 13 months. I did say there is a poll running, 85 votes. Even though there's been 240 people on, 85 votes. Do Celtic need to make a change in goals? 96%, 97% say 96. Jumping up down, 95 now. Keep saying 97. There we go. It's up and down all the time. And 95% say yes, 5% say no. Which is an interesting one. Going into the international break, I think that this... Is it a good time or a bad time for Celtic? Is it a good time or bad time for Celtic? Usually we like to go into an international break, and if you look at previous seasons with Brendan Rodgers, he looks at his little blocks of games. He would say that the first block of games in August, running into September, weren't that great. Obviously getting put out of the Champions League, the start that we've had in the Europa, it's not going well for Brendan, and he will know that. He will know that the pressure is starting to build upon him. Alcatraz. Yeah, it is. It is Alcatraz. 2 weeks of boredom, says Tam Mac. It'll not be 2 weeks of boredom because there'll be plenty to talk about, because the Celtic Collective have a meeting with the board on Monday night, I think it is. So that'll be interesting. I have been asked to go into another podcast to talk about the outcome of that, but we'll sort that out over the weekend. It is the weekend. But anyway, Magnus says, morning Baz, hope the house moving ahead, morning on hips, just checking in on a mum after 100 miles an hour in Orkney, 100 miles an hour winds in Orkney, Jesus. McGregor has been getting away with it for years, and as soon as he's up against a half-decent player, he gets found out. Yeah, Jim, but this is what I'm saying, we've always had better players in midfield to kind of take the shine off McGregor. We don't have that now. We don't have players that outshine McGregor every single week. Jim, Rab, I can't remember the name. My head's in mango just now. I'll get the. In fact, let me just check it out. I'll get the email. Because I've not checked my emails for days. Eric, there we go. Tuesday. It's not got. I can't remember the name. I'll get it. I'll get it because, like I said, my head's up my arse just now with everything. So anyway, looking at the games this weekend, I mean, Celtic, although they won't move down any positions, some teams could close the gap on Celtic and some could increase the gap away from Celtic. What other changes does Brendan Rodgers need to make this weekend? Sell best players and recruit nobody. What did they expect? I don't know who recruits players, but Brendan Rodgers seldom plays them. He cannot identify good players, unlike Ange. It's not up to... I get what you're saying with this, but Brendan Rodgers does not identify certain players. And this is where Ange Postecoglou was an old school... Ange Postecoglou never identified Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly was already on the Celtic radar before Ange Postecoglou. He brought in, obviously, the guys from Japan, and he knew the players. Brendan Rodgers seems to rely on the I think Brendan Rodgers, for me, his legs have gone, talking about Calmac. Yeah, they have. But anyway, getting back to the captain listening to the discomfort inside the dressing room can't be good for him. Yeah, exactly. Everyone turns to him. January, we need an enforcer. But with Anthony, we spoke about this in the summer window. I said we needed a midfield general. We didn't get one. Brendan Rodgers, we were linked with, how many players we were linked with in the summer? 6'5" midfield players, athletic monsters. Give Bernardo more game times, yeah, but Bernardo is a problem that needs to be solved. But I think that we are going to struggle. I think that the way that we're going to go between now and obviously tomorrow, because there is the international break, that Celtic will be hoping to try and sweet talk the people that are going to the meeting on the Monday, and then they've got a little bit of a relapse when it comes to it, because we're not playing football until Sunday the 19th of October, when we're away to Dundee. Now, the fact that the Celtic fans won't be back at Celtic Park for a while, because then we're away to Hearts as well. I'm not being funny, but I did say that this was going to be one of the worst months. We're then back at Celtic Park on the 29th of October. Looking way ahead of ourselves, if we don't start picking up points in the league, if we don't start... I mean, I know that, look, we've only dropped a few points in the league. 4. But those 4 points were big games. If we get to the Hearts game at the end of the month, and Hearts beat us convincingly, they will think that they're seriously in a title running. They will think that they've got... Did you see the referee laughing at the edge after the goal was chopped off? No, I didn't. Mate. Rodgers' statement in the summer, he wasn't the person that makes the calls to bring the players to the clubs. He wanted to sign world-class manager. My arse, big rab. I've been saying this as well, mate. He should be identifying a good manager. I mean, for Brendan Rodgers sits and he goes, oh, yeah, I watch football all the time. I'm watching games in here. I go home, I watch games at night. Well, where's the players then, Brendan? You know the positions. This modern nonsense that Brendan Rodgers relies, he says we need a player for this position. And then the recruitment team, this is all Celtic's doing. This is not Brendan Rodgers doing. This is Celtic's fault. The fact that we have a system set up where the manager has to go to the recruitment department. Fucking nonsense is this. It's not the 1970s where you go to HR and you go, we need to take on some staff, and that still happens in this day and age. And then it goes through this dragged process where you've got to interview 20 folk. It's football. Could you imagine Jock Stein turning around to the board in the good old days and saying, right, I'm wanting a new midfielder. We'll see who we can get you, Jock. Is that alright? Fucking... Could you imagine it? Hope all goes well on your visit to the hospital today, Stephen. A lot of people are saying that in the comments. We're regressing swiftly. Van Helsing. This is not regression. This is manufactured, managed decline. I've said it on this channel umpteen times over the years. I've coined that term, managed decline. And this is Celtic going through another period of managed decline where they think that they can reduce the wage bill, they can get rid of some staff. And by the way, Gustav Lagerbielke having a blinder of a game against Celtic at Celtic Park. You've got to remember that Gustav Lagerbielke was the only defender to score from a header in the Champions League. We hadn't scored from a header, from a corner for fucking months. Absolutely ages. And Gustav Lagerbielke did it in the Champions League, but it wasn't good enough for Brendan Rodgers, and he fucking let him go. Wasn't good enough for Celtic. I think that we can all understand that the problem at Celtic is a lot deeper than the manager picking players, and it's a lot deeper than the board not funding the manager. I said last season, I thought last season there was a power struggle going on at Celtic Park. And there was a power struggle. And I thought that we're going into the summer, I thought we were making the right noises for the manager to win the power struggle. But he's not. And I think that really now, I'm just leading. Tactics, formation, players, subs are all pish. Yeah, I know. And I'm going to admit, for someone that backed Brendan Rodgers to the hilt for the first year and a half, 2 years, and I said, everyone said he'll walk away. I said he'll stay here for the 3 years. I'm now hoping that he either finds the elite manager in him to change Celtic, or we're going to be in for one hell of a fucking shit season. And I mean that in a football term wise. I mean that on what's on the pitch. You know, I still think that we'll get to the end of the season and we'll win something. It would be unthinkable to think if we didn't win something. But I think we could still win the league. But I think that this may be 1 year where we only win the league and we don't win the cups. And let's not fucking forget, we have a certain cup game coming up as well. It's getting worse. Could you imagine if that lot win the cup game? Anyway. Right, let's jump back into some of these comments this morning. It is just finding my feet back in on this subs. No Champions League, no treble. After the start of the season, we could end up winning nothing. I don't think that we'll end up winning nothing. I think that we will win. Selling goals is poor management. Selling 75 goals is terrible. And how many people now are maybe wishing that Adam Ida was treated a bit better? 20 goals he scored last season. 20 goals from sitting on the bench. But Adam Ida wasn't chased out of Celtic by the fans. This is the thing. Adam Ida wasn't chased away from Celtic by the fans. It was the board that made the decision to sell Adam Ida. Adam Ida was preparing to play that weekend. He had no indication that he was getting ready to be sold. Behind his back, let it be said. Never mind the fact that he's on 40 grand a week now. Hats off to Adam Ida, because he's the one that's pissing himself laughing now. He's like, I'm on 40 grand a week, I don't care. Laga, Gustav. Laga, Gustav. Jeez. The team's not worth watching, sad but true. It's always worth watching. Always worth watching. I've been on for a couple of nights, woke up, Rodgers gave notice he was leaving in February. The club haven't backed him. That's the reason behind the transfer window. For what I heard. Big Rab, I don't think it was as far back as February that he gave notice that he was going to see out his third year and that's it. Do you know, no excuse for the far decisions, the worst I've ever seen. Yeah. There's no use talking about it now. You coined the phrase managed decline. Did I not? Oh well. Good morning to you, Joseph. Lager was shit and still is shit. Well, he was better than any Celtic player in the night. Notice that this is his final season. Yeah, I think I noticed it's his final season as well. But anyway, right, that has been done. And McInnes is a hun. Yeah. Not a chance. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic morning, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. I might come back on 4:45 to see the results of today. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.